Hey guys, good morning. Super excited to be able to dive into the scripture with you guys. Psalm 73 is where we're at this morning. This one's a really good one because it's going to answer a question that really talks about the fairness of life. And a lot of times we can wrestle with the question of why is it that it seems like everybody else, even when they do wicked, seems to have more things, seems to have a better process of life, more authority, more riches, whatever you might want to pick, right? All those things, those are questions as we look around this world. You can look at, you can look at Hollywood, you can look at politics, you can look at some just a lot of people that have much, and you kind of question, it's like, why is it that those who have much on this earth tend to be those who have no problem just destroying people, who have no problem with tearing down people, that sort of thing? And you look at it and you're like, you know what, this just doesn't seem fair. Well, that's the situation that the psalmist is in this morning as we go through this. I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's going to start out here. It says this: truly God is good to Israel, to such as are pure in heart. But as for me, my feet had almost stumbled. My steps had nearly slipped, for I was envious of the boastful when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. And so he starts out and he says, listen, God's been good. He's been faithful. He's continuously been doing the things which he says he's going to do. But I almost slipped, right? I almost fell because I started to look around. I saw the prosperity of the wicked. I started to look around at everybody else's circumstances, situations, wondering why somebody else has more than I do, has more opportunities than I do. And that tends to be like, it just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem fair for somebody to spend so much time serving, wanting to honor the Lord, and life just doesn't seem to be easy, right? It doesn't seem to have the capacity on this world that somebody else might have that's just purely wicked. And so because of that, he almost stumbled. And he almost stumbled in, on the fact that probably maybe he chased after some of those things, or his heart was really starting to get unpure, angry about it. I'll go on through a few of these. He says for there is no pains in their death, but their strength is firm. It means that they're not even afraid of death or the way that they act. They just do whatever they want without fear at all of any sort of pending judgment. They are not troubled as other men, nor are they plagued like other men. Their pride serves as their necklace. Violence covers them like a garment. Their eyes bulge with abundance. They have more than a heart could wish. They scoff and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily, and their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walks through the earth. And it just continues on with that same sort of thought. It's like they can do anything and not really have any sort of consequences, is what he's seeing, is what he's feeling. And so you just get to follow the heart's desire without facing the consequences. And it just didn't seem fair at this point. And I can understand that. You look around the world, and that tends to be a lot of what happens in this world. But then he goes on. I want to take you to verse 17, because this is where everything changes, right? He's looking so much at everything else and everything in this world. And then it says this: until I went into the sanctuary of God, then I understood their end. That's it. This is exactly the very thing in which he needed. That even though he looks around this world and doesn't seem to find righteousness and justice or the things which are going to be honored in this world, the moment that he entered into the house of God, the sanctuary of God, he realized their end. Well, what does that mean? Well, if you think about it, like for so many people, like you struggle paying rent, you struggle, keeping things moving, but you're trusting in the Lord continuously. All the while, people just go out and do whatever they want, and they seem to just continuously prosper. Well, at the end of the day, right? Like they may have the 10,000 square foot house. But 50 years after they die, they're not going to have any measure of joy or hope in life. But you're not really going to care about the fact that you had this tiny little house that you could hardly pay rent in when you end up getting into heaven 100 years from now. right? And you get to enjoy all the riches and all those things that God's balance of righteousness ends up hitting right at the end of man. And so the fact that people live their life without fearing death is such a tragedy. And we've got to be careful about it ourselves, because we can find ourselves living a pattern of just kind of inconsistent lifestyle that just serves the Lord when it's convenient, when it's timely, and we miss out on the glorious riches of what we can have as we really focus on the Lord and the things that He has in store for us eternally. So that's exactly what happened. He took his eyes off of that which is temporal, and He lifted them up, and he was able to look there on eternity. And it would go on, and He says, "Surely you set them in slippery places. You cast them down to destruction. Oh, how they are brought to desolation as in a moment. They are utterly consumed with terrors as a dream when one wakes. So Lord, you awake, and you shall despise their image." And he goes on kind of just with this sense of like, that's the eternal perspective. And it finishes out verse 26. I love this. "My flesh and my heart fail, but God is the strength in my heart and my portion forever." And it says, For indeed, those who are far from you shall perish. You have destroyed all those who desert you for harlotry, but it is good for me to draw near to God. I have put my trust in the Lord that I may declare your works. So what do you do when it feels like injustice of the world is out there? You know what? You draw near. You draw near to the Lord. You find that as your safe place. And then you make it a point that my heart, my flesh and my heart fail. Every bit of my being fails, but there is one who doesn't, but God will never. He is the strength of my heart and portion forever. And that's where we take our eyes off the temporal, lift them to the eternal, and God is there to meet us every time. I love you guys. Be encouraged and strengthened by the Lord. And we will absolutely see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. God bless y'all.